Imagine this, you're in the heart of Alaska, a land renowned for its breathtaking wilderness, vast icy landscapes, and rich, unique cultural heritage. Among the indigenous communities here, there's a dish that stands out, something that's as much a piece of cultural history as it is a culinary experience. It's bold, it's ancient, and not something you'll find in just any restaurant or supermarket. Instead, it's something handed down through generations, a dish that tells the story of resilience, survival, and the deep connection between people and their environment. Join me as we uncover the story of Stinkheads and why Alaskans are so passionate about this unexpected delicacy. To understand the origins of stinkheads, we need to look at the history and traditions of the indigenous communities in Alaska. These communities have thrived in Alaska's harsh environment for thousands of years, relying on nature and traditional knowledge to sustain themselves. Fish, particularly salmon, has always been a staple, providing essential protein and nutrients. Over generations, these communities developed techniques not only to preserve fish, but also to celebrate its bounty through creative means. Stinkheads, also known as tepa, are one of the results of this cultural ingenuity. This dish is made by fermenting fish heads, typically salmon or whitefish, in a carefully controlled environment. It might sound unusual, but for many indigenous Alaskans, stinkheads are far more than food. They symbolize a connection to their ancestors, a link to traditional knowledge, and a practical solution to food preservation in a region with limited growing seasons. Now that we understand a bit of the cultural significance, let's talk about the science. Fermentation is a process that transforms food through the action of bacteria, yeasts, or other microorganisms. When making stinkheads, fermentation is key, as it enables the fish heads to break down in a way that makes them edible and, for many, delicious. The right balance of temperature, time, and storage conditions is critical, as this process can easily spoil if not handled carefully. To make stinkheads, the fish heads are placed in a container, often buried underground or stored in a cold place. The bacteria that thrive in this environment help break down the proteins in the fish heads, creating an intense aroma and flavor profile unique to fermented fish. As the heads ferment, they develop a strong, pungent smell that might be off-putting to some. But for those who have grown up with this dish, that smell is a marker of authenticity. Scientifically, stinkhead fermentation mirrors the process used in other fermented foods worldwide, like kimchi in Korea or surströmming in Sweden. The lactic acid bacteria involved help preserve the fish, while also giving it a distinctive taste and texture that many find enjoyable. Let's take a look at the actual process of preparing stinkheads. Traditionally, once the fish heads are set aside for fermentation, they're left to rest for several weeks, sometimes up to a month. The specific time varies depending on the season and the desired level of fermentation. Warmer weather accelerates the process, while colder conditions require a longer fermentation period. Once the fish heads have reached the perfect stage, they're dug up, rinsed, and are finally ready to eat. In some communities, stinkheads are served as part of larger gatherings or celebrations, with family and friends coming together to enjoy this traditional dish. It's not just about eating, it's about experiencing and sharing a piece of culture. People describe the flavor as strong and slightly sour, with a texture that can vary from creamy to slightly chewy, depending on the fermentation length. To those who aren't used to it, the smell and taste might be challenging at first, but for many Alaskans, this is exactly what makes stinkheads special. Stinkheads aren't without their share of controversy. Fermented fish, like any fermented food, requires careful handling to ensure it's safe to eat. Improper fermentation can lead to dangerous bacteria growing in the fish, including botulism, which can be life-threatening. Because of these risks, the traditional method of preparing stinkheads is sometimes criticized, especially by those unfamiliar with the proper techniques or those concerned with health and safety regulations. In recent years, some health officials and government agencies have issued warnings about consuming traditionally fermented fish, especially if it hasn't been prepared with the necessary precautions. However, many Alaskans argue that with the right knowledge and experience, stinkheads can be safely prepared and enjoyed. They see these warnings as an outside interference with their culture, one that threatens their ability to practice traditional foodways. The debate between traditional practices and modern safety concerns highlights the ongoing tension between cultural preservation and health regulation. So why are Alaskans so passionate about stinkheads? The answer lies in the history, science, and cultural importance of this dish. For many, stinkheads represent a direct link to their ancestors, a way of keeping their cultural identity alive in the modern world. It's a reminder of the resilience required to survive in Alaska's challenging landscape, a testament to the strength of a community that has lived in harmony with nature for centuries. Stinkheads are more than just a unique flavor experience. They are a symbol of pride. For Indigenous Alaskans, making and eating stinkheads connects them to their land and history, reinforcing a sense of belonging and continuity. Sharing this dish with younger generations ensures that these traditions will survive, fostering a deeper understanding of who they are and where they come from. Beyond tradition, though, there's also a sense of adventure in eating stinkheads. It's not a dish for the faint-hearted, but that's precisely the point. For those who try it, whether they're Alaskan locals or curious visitors, stinkheads are a culinary experience that challenges assumptions and opens minds. In the end, stinkheads are more than an unusual dish with a bold flavor. They're a living part of Alaskan culture, a dish that speaks volumes about resilience, tradition, and respect for the natural world. In a world where fast food and quick fixes dominate, stinkheads remind us of the beauty in taking time to understand, preserve, and respect the foods that sustain us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more unusual food topics like this one.